everybody for coming. I thank all of you who are my sponsors, who supported me not only financially, but in prayer and just watching me on Facebook and Instagram as I posted, and just had the time of my life in Africa. This is just going to go through the first part of my trip when I was in Uganda, and then we'll transfer over into Kenya. So I wanted to introduce kind of where I was on the African map, because not a lot of people know where Uganda is. So Uganda is there on the map. I'm not really sure. I forgot to look up the facts and what region and all that. So that's Uganda. These are the missionaries that I was staying with. That is their daughter Destiny. That is Tucker Nabuska on that side. Myself, their oldest son TJ, and his loving wife Irene. This is their whole family. They have another child. Her name is Divine Melody, which you'll see in the next picture. Tucker and Irene are the founder and co-founder of Christ Sanctuary International. And Irene is also the principal of the first CSI school that teaches grades 1st through 7th. These guys are like my African siblings. We spend a lot of time together. I love them dearly as if they were my own. Divine Melody's in the green shirt over there, giving me the biggest hug before I said goodbye. This is Angel, and she really is an angel. She cooks for every single mission team that comes to Uganda. Whether big or small, 1 person or 25, she's there, smiling face, showing off her skills and how she can balance things on her head, and just willing to cook and serve you in any way that she can. This is Mercy. There's a point in my trip where there was a point where I didn't know if I was going to be going to Kenya for 3 weeks or staying in Uganda for 3 more weeks. So it ended up being that I stayed in Uganda for 3 more weeks, and this little lovely lady is Mercy. She was our cook, cleaner, anything that you asked her to do, she was up ready to go, and she worked so hard. So I just was like, she deserves some credibility. This is Patience. She is my absolute favorite person in Uganda. She was my immediate best friend. You know when you have that person in your life where you haven't ever met them before and you automatically just click. Like you are best friends for life, even though you've never met them before. You just know you will never ever forget them, what they've done in your life, how they impacted you. Patience is the CSI coordinator. She does everything she's asked. She does it with a smile, and she does it willingly, no questions asked. She runs the Facebook page. She does all social media outreaches, everything. She works along Carol Woody, who is the U.S. coordinator here in the United States. She's in Gresham, Portland right now. And she just helps all of the missionaries and just people who want to come on the trips. She organizes it and gets them a place to stay. So now I'm going to start talking about the different places of CSI. There's 7 different branches of CSI, but this is the main compound. This is the kindergarten and daycare. This is where baby class, middle class, and top class go to school. It is 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. It's a daycare center, so if there's teachers who have a baby, or there's someone in the school whose parents just don't have anyone to take care of their kids, or the kids that go to school need someone to stay until the parents get off work, they take care of them at this school. This is the last church service that I attended before I flew to Kenya. I have to tell you, the singing, the dancing, the wiggles and the shakes was probably the funnest church service I'd ever been to. In the middle of the service, Tucker was just like, everybody stop, and the whole room fell silent. He said, there is not a man in this church service who is singing or dancing. All of the men come up right now in front of everybody, and we are going to play 3 songs, and every man's going to get a chance to dance. And I have to tell you, they boogied and shook their hips like nobody's business. They had so much fun, and he's like, this is what church is all about. It's not just the women and the children who should be singing and dancing. It's everyone unified together, praising and singing the Lord. I just wanted to kind of explain to you what a church service in Uganda is kind of like. It starts at 9:30 in the morning and it goes to 3 to 7 o'clock at night. So somewhere around 5 to 7 hours you are singing, you are dancing, you are listening to a sermon, and then all of a sudden there's an impromptu prayer circle and then a prayer chain being made and then people being recognized for their community work. It's a really cool experience. Not a lot of people understand what I say when it's just you get in and you just automatically are dancing into the service. You are completely and utterly under the Holy Spirit. It's amazing, and it's really hard to explain when the Holy Spirit's in control of a place and he's working in people's lives and in people's hearts. It's amazing what he does there. 2 to 3 of the hours are worship, so we're just singing and dancing. It's really cool because they ask the kids at the CSI compound, which I will show next, they have a specific children's dance worship team. So every Sunday they pick a different group of children to dance in front of the church service and lead everybody in singing and dancing. It's amazing. Let's see. The children don't stay for the entire time. They're there for about 4 to 5 hours, and then they get a lunch break, and then they go to Sunday school. So while there's the sermon or the extra sermon, the church announcements, anything that needs to be said or done is done after the children leave. This is CSI Kampala's main school. This is the 1st through 7th grade school that I talked about in the beginning that Irene is the principal of. Their daughter, Divine Melody, the youngest, is in 7th grade, and she attends this school. Let's see. The girls, it's a boarding school, so the girls' house at the top level for the 1st and the 2nd, or 1st through 7th grade, and it's a really awesome school. There's, I can't remember how many classrooms, but they have a ton of children that go to that school. They have chapel every Friday morning, and they are all encouraged, whether they are in the school going home or if they're just in the school for the day school, to come to church and to the chapel. This is the CSI preschool and daycare as well. This is where the preschool, like 2 or 3-year-olds come to school. They come for a couple hours, then they get a nap, then they get a snack, and then they do a little bit more schoolwork. This is also where the boys are boarding for the big school. And then the teachers' babies, if they have them, also come to this daycare. I didn't get a picture. They don't like the pictures being taken of the little kids. And I didn't get one that was good enough, even though I tried to sneak it. This is the CSI medical clinic. Tucker's sister, Evelyn, runs the medical center. She does all of the registration. She does all of the secretary work. She does all of the pills. She does everything that they need her to do for inventory, everything. She's an amazing woman of God, and I just commend her on being able to run this. They just introduced an x-ray room, so I wasn't able to get a picture inside because of radiation and all of that going on. They said only the specific people who are allowed to go in, which was fine. I didn't need to go in there. This is the dentist office, which is on the back side of the medical clinic. It's just one room. They hire a dentist here and there, whoever is available. As you can see, it's really up to date, a really great dentist office, and they don't charge very much because they know that people need the dental care but can't afford an actual dentist. So they encourage people to come and get whatever they do. They do pulling of teeth, they do fillings, pretty much anything that you really need except for x-rays. This is the infirmary. Kind of scary, I know, but on the inside it's a lot prettier. There's 2 rooms where women can give birth, and the rest are just recovery rooms. CSI, what does CSI do now? So CSI runs 6 schools, ages 3 through 7th grade. There's the main campus, Kitobwa in Luero, Subi School in Gayaza, Sanyu School in Jinja, Murumbe School in Kampala in the slums. It's a suburb off of Kampala. And then Matukutayama Makama School in Chibosi. And then they also run an animal and agricultural farm in Luero, which is just right down the road. As they describe the road, it goes from a road to a semi-road to barely a road to no road to get to the farm. And that's what they do it feeds all of the schools. They have rice, corn, sweet potatoes, cabbage, pigs, and we just introduced dairy goats. That's what Billy and Mary and myself were doing, but Mary was the main woman for the job. And then they have 7 Bible teaching churches, all in those areas. And then in Murumbe, Kampala, the suburb slum, they have one over here and one over here. This is kind of a map of Uganda, so you can kind of get a map there, an idea of where it is, kind of what it's next to. So you've got the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Tanzania, just kind of right in the middle. Super cool to be right next to Lake Victoria and got to see Lake Victoria. We never got to go swimming or anything, but it was just really cool because the airport is actually right next to it. Going into here, I'm going to have to step in front so that you guys can see. So when we were staying, Billy, Mary, and I, we were in Kampala, but we were a little bit up from Kampala. I'll show you on a smaller map that I have later in this slideshow of the exact place that we were. During the trip, we traveled from Kampala to Jinja, and then Kampala to Luero, and some other places that I couldn't get on the map. Starting in here, we traveled to, it's 20 minutes away from Kampala and Tebe area. So it's right here in that place. This is Bonnie and Olivia. They are the pastors and the principals of their school. In this picture, they gave Billy, Mary, and I a little sign, and Bonnie actually drew and wrote what was on each one of them as a personal gift for us going and seeing them and bringing the gifts that we brought. I added this picture just because Olivia is just so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Whew. Then we moved on to Jinja. So we went from Entebbe, Kampala area, and then we traveled all the way up to Jinja. Jinja's travel takes about 2 hours if there's no traffic and no potholes. So you can imagine it's more about 6 hours drive to get to Jinja. This is the start of the new construction of a new school that they're going to be building. They did work on more of it and dug more by the time I left, but I didn't have time to get pictures of the progress. So they're going to be taking this new school and then having all of the classrooms there, and then taking the buildings that are already there and turning them into the church. This is baby class. So these are the 3-year-olds. I didn't put the picture on here, but I have to tell you, they are the best colorers in the world. They all got a Ferris wheel horse to color on, and every single one of them had the lines completely colored. Like there was no over or under or anything. They teach them to the max. They just want to teach them to their fullest capacity. There we go. They want them to go to their fullest capacity and learn what God is doing in their lives, learn Bible verses, but also get a quality education that is going to take them past their national exams. This is primary 1 class. I didn't get a picture of the teacher, but she was also beautiful, and she was just so outgoing. As you can tell, they're standing in the picture. So their school, in all of the schools, are very, very interactive. If they have a question, if they need to go to the bathroom, if they need anything to talk to anything, they have to stand up and announce to the whole entire class what their question is if they have to go to the bathroom, because they just want everyone to be like a family in the classroom, not one children or this group of children and then this one. They want them all to be together. They do a lot of songs, memorization. It's crazy how when you go to these schools, they know the Bible verses. This is us getting our hellos and goodbyes towards the end. Some of the children didn't get to see us, so when they got to come out from their classrooms, they were saying hi and then hello. Okay, there was another one. Okay, this is David. This is one of my mom's sponsored children. Fun story about seeing all of these sponsored children in particular. It was a very rainy day, more like flash floods, and it rained for 2 to 3 hours, just pouring down rain. And we had planned to drive to each of my mom's sponsored kids' houses to deliver them rice, beans, sugar, flour, tea leaves, bread, just everything that a family would need to sustain themselves for quite a while. I just thought that was more of a gift than bringing them toys and coloring books, just because it helps not only them, but their family as well. So this is David. He did not go to school that day because he was not feeling well, but he was feeling well enough to play with the chicken in the backyard. This is his mom. So as you can tell, our feet are extremely muddy and dirty. As we walked, I mean, there was probably this much mud / clay, more clay than anything on the bottom of our shoes. I threw those pairs of shoes away at the end of the trip because they were just ruined by the mud and then the future mud that I got. His mom ran after me, David's mom, and she's actually handing me a chicken as a thank you for bringing the food to her and her family. Over here on the left is Lucky. She is amazing. She co-pastors with Angel, who was our cook in the beginning at the Ginger School. She and they're the pastors of the church, and then they are also the principals. So amazing women. This is Sharon. She was the farthest away. Such a sweet little thing. She was the only one who willingly took a smiling picture with me. So I just knew that I had to share this one. This is Lawrence. He was the sweetest little guy I'd ever met. I actually didn't get to meet Lawrence the first time that I was in Jinja, but I got to meet him the second time. He wasn't at school that day either, along with David. And then this is Edward. Edward was quite the funny guy. He ended up bringing me a chicken to send thanks for bringing them food and bringing their family. So this is the second time I went to Jinja, and I actually got to see Glenda again because I thought maybe they'd cook her for lunch and share them with the kids, but she's roaming around, and they said she's a really good egg-laying hen, so I was like, okay, you just kind of do whatever. I just kind of wanted to talk about Lucky and Angel as they co-pastor. A lot of the pastors in Uganda for CSI are women. The men in Uganda, if you were here for the Thailand presentation today, which I don't think a lot of you were, the missionary stated that the men in Thailand don't work. They have no means for responsibility. They don't really care what happens to the women and the children. They just kind of want to do their thing when they want to, and they don't care if they work or not. Either way, they can beg, and that's how they'll get their food. So that's a lot like the men in Uganda. They don't really care. They are on their boda-bodas or motorcycles all day long, sitting in the shade and whistling at girls as they pass by. So why do the women pastor? Like I said, the men just aren't willing to step up and be the godly men that CSI needs them to be. They are equipping men to be pastors. They are going through a discipleship training, which is 3 years long, that some people from Virginia Beach teach. The roles duties, responsibilities that these women pastors go through are not just being pastors. They are friends. They are relating to the other women in the villages. They are teaching the children that it's okay to love Jesus and it's okay to do what he is calling you to do. It's fine to not want to be a pastor or a teacher. You can be anything that the Lord calls you to be. They are evangelists. They're not really counselors. They're not really pastors. They teach, but they do it through the Holy Spirit. They don't, okay, I'm going to write down everything that I want to say, and then on Sunday, I'm going to preach it at you. We're going to preach, and they come up here and talk, but they want to relate to the people. They don't want to just be like, this is what you do, this is only what you do, and Jesus is the only way. He is the only way, but he's a little bit more loving than that. Tucker, as the overall organizer, his philosophy is no teachers, no preachers, just evangelists of Jesus Christ who say the word of God and let the Holy Spirit do the work. I already talked about what we gave the sponsored kids. So this was kind of just the idea of the goat barn that we wanted to bring for the dairy goats that Mary, Billy, and I were coming to do in the first part of our trip. We went to the government farm, which was also in Jinja, and the man in the picture was showing us around, showing us the goats, and Mary and I just kind of was like, this is exactly what we want for our goat barn. This is perfect. It's above ground. It's exactly what we want to do to base our goat barn off of. We are now headed to Luero. So we went from here, so we traveled back, and then we went to Luero. Mary, Billy, and I spent a lot of time in Luero, just helping with the kids, helping on the farm, and helping the lovely Helen. She is the pastor, the co-pastor with her husband Robert of the Luero School and the church. They also have another co-pastor. His name is Alan, but at the time right now for the past 6 months, he's been helping out in the Kampala slum with Marissa, the other pastor. So here is Helen. She asked me to jump right into some schoolwork and help her do some grading. Her husband, Robert, I could never get a picture of, so he is in some of the work projects, but he just was not kind of a picture kind of guy. These are their sons. This is Jasper, and this is Thaddeus. Thaddeus is, with the TH in Lugandan, is actually Sadius, because they don't pronounce the TH. And then this is the little girl, I can't remember her name for the life of me, but she was one of the cooks' daughters as well. I absolutely love this picture, because Mary took this picture, and actually Thaddeus was sick with the flu that day. And because he was so close, he also gave me the flu as well. So I was sick for about 2 days with the terrible case of the flu. This is one of the babies of the teachers in the school. Precious, isn't he? There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about just with the teachers at any of the schools through CSI. Many of the teachers that they hire don't have a faith in Jesus Christ. Most are Muslim or Catholic. But CSI brings them in, and they know that they have to teach Jesus. They are given a curriculum, and they are given rules that they have to follow because they want to teach the children about Jesus. Their philosophy with that is the teachers come in, they don't know Jesus, but then they have to start teaching Jesus 5 to 6 days a week, depending on it. And they're invited to church, and they come to church, and slowly but surely they come to know the Lord. Wow. When they do not come to the Lord, most of the time they do not come back. So it brings more opportunities for new teachers to come in and accept Jesus Christ as their Savior. These are also some teachers that are in the Luero School. The one in the pink jacket closest to me, I can't remember her name, but she was stuck to me like glue wherever I went in Luero. She loved every minute that I was there. She actually asked me to come to her house, which is a huge respect, and meet her parents, but I later came to find out that her house was like miles down the road, and she's staying in the staff quarters at the Luero School. The lady over there in the striped dress, her name is Bahati. She was a fabulous cook as well in Luero. And These are her 3 daughters in the orange shirts. It's Vicky over there next to her, Promise in the middle between me and the teacher, and then Anna is the oldest. This is the Luero school. They have their green uniforms, which are the absolute cutest. Mary and I, wherever we went, they were always hanging on us, just like you can see in Mary in the video. They all constantly wanted to hold our arms and hold our hands and touch our clothes and rip off our clothes and see if we were white all the way around. But they just love you. They love being around you. They think if they rub you hard enough that you're black underneath the white skin, they just fall in love with you and you fall in love with them. Salma up there with me, she is one of Billy's granddaughter's sponsor kids, and she just fell in love with me, and I fell in love with her. So what can I or you do to help? So there are sponsored kids throughout all 6 of the schools who still need sponsored. So it's just $100 a school year. It covers food for twice a day, a Christian education for an academic year. It provides a uniform, and then you can add for just $15 a pair of shoes. This is Alan. He also co-pastors with Robert and Helen at the Luero school, but he's in Maroon Bay. Mary gave Alan this t-shirt. No kidding, goats are great. I thought this was great. She gave it to him the night before, and he showed up the next morning with that shirt on, some black skinny jeans, and his boots on. This is Alan and I after the first church service that I went to in Luero. This is a boda, just a regular little motorcycle. And as you can tell, I was in a dress. I asked all week if I could ride the boda when I had jeans on. But they decided that on church they were going to give me and Mary a special surprise and let us ride home on the boda as well. Side saddling a motorcycle was not the easiest task in a dress. These are the bathrooms. Pretty much everywhere you go, it's just a squatty potty. Unless it's not as nice as this one, and it's really just a hole in the ground. That was very interesting to learn how to do. This is the Luero farm. This is actually the rice fields. The whole farm is 180 acres. About 3/4 of it, I think, is rice and corn. They also have the cabbage and the sweet potatoes and the pigs and now the goats. They use all of the rice and the corn and the cabbage and sweet potatoes to feed all of the teachers and the students in all of the schools. They provide breakfast and lunch, so they can make posho, which is cornmeal kind of based stuff, millet, porridge, and then actual cornmeal and rice and beans. Now this is the starting of the goat shelter. This is Mary measuring it out with the contractor that was there with us. This is just kind of the progression of the goat barn, so I'm not going to do much talking with this part. So as you can tell, everything was done by hand. There's the wheelbarrow in the corner. We did the hoe, we did the shovel, everything was done by hand. And the workers there, I have to tell you, worked 3 times as hard as I did, and I thought that I could, work hard, but man, they powered through. This is kind of getting closer to getting the platform and the bottom of the shelter done and getting towards the ramp. This is kind of how they hold the poles in place. They hammer some sticks together to make the beams to hold the poles, and then they just stuff cement down in there and they have it hold. So over here is Robert in the black sweatshirt. That is Helen's husband. He is amazing. Mary and I got to spend a whole afternoon with him just talking about what God's doing in Uganda, what God's doing in our hearts and his hearts, and just asking him some advice about some things that both Mary and I were struggling with, and then he got to share it with us, some stuff with us as well. This is Joseph. He was the head contractor, the head builder for the whole entire thing. Any questions you had, anything you needed to know, that was the guy to go to. These two, in the blue hat, his name is Alamema. He was kind of the middleman. He just did everything that Joseph needed him to do assistant-wise. And I can't remember the little guy in the red shirt's name, but he was the runner boy. He got the water, he got the soil, he got the tools, he just did everything that they told him to do just because he was younger. Then came time to pound the flooring to put the cement and the rock down. As you can see over there, it's just a piece of wood and two pieces of wood and a piece of wood, and then you just stomped it down. I don't know. At this point, Mary was super smart. At the beginning of putting the rock down, they were doing everything by wheelbarrow by hand. So they were shoveling all of the rocks inside this tiny wheelbarrow. It wasn't even a big wheelbarrow. And they would take it over this ramp because it had been raining, so they had to make a ramp over the mud. And then they would shovel it, dump it, and go get another one. Well, Mary was like, what can I do to help? What can I contribute to this? Because, there's only one wheelbarrow. Only two people can shovel the rock, and one person can do the wheelbarrow. Mary goes, how about I go get the tractor and see if we can move the rocks with the tractor? So Mary went over and asked Alan if she could use the tractor. Being the brilliant farm woman she is, this is the exact tractor that she has at home, except one of the gear shifts is just opposite. So she just learned super quick. She knew exactly what to do. And all of the work that would have taken about 2 to 3 days took us an afternoon.
Wow.
So we got all of the rock laid down. We got the soil pounded. Then we got the rock laid down. There's Mary. And then we started putting the soupy cement over the rock, and then we pounded the rock down. So the reason why we did the bottom and the rock and the cement was so that when the goats, distribute their waste, they can use the waste for fertilizer for all of the vegetables that they grow. I thought it was a very economic, awesome thing to do, and so we got about here before a ginormous storm came, and we had to put tarps all over it. It was still soupy and wet, but we just were, we were like, okay, we're like 2/3 of the way done, we'll just finish it tomorrow. So we ended up finishing it. This is about as far as Mary, Billy, and I got before we went back to Kampala, or Entebbe. And then this is kind of the progression that went on after we went back to Kampala. So they started on the ramp, they got the roof done the next day after the storm and the cement and the rock, because we got all that done. That was as far as we got before Billy and Mary said goodbye to me, and I stayed for another 2.5 weeks in Uganda with Tucker and Irene. Then things started really going fast, and there's the slots in the bottom so that you can see where the manure will fall through. They kept going, and they did such an amazing job, just 3 guys, and it actually happened that in a month, this shelter was done. I have to tell you that the missionary down there said that this was a palace. This was not a barn. This was not a shelter. This was a palace, and it is the most palace-like barn that anyone will ever see in all of Uganda. And this will attract tourists, he says. So what does CSI hope to do? They hope to build and continue to build on the middle school that is on the CSI compound in Kampala. They're creating a vocational school in 2020, which is for orphan boys and girls ages 16 years and older to go to school, and they will learn and live within the facility. The vocational trades include sewing, tailoring, child education assistant, welding, cobblery, hairdressing, mechanics, agricultural stuff and farming, catering, basket making, Uganda crafts, and carpentry. Along with all of these vocational trades, they will also be learning English, math, let's see what else. I lost my spot. Math, English, English, writing, and reading. There we go. These are all of the orphan boys who play soccer in Luero Farm. That day, Tucker specifically came to say hello to the boys, introduce himself, and then he had a little race to see who could beat him in a running race. I didn't have enough storage to put the video on here, but I have to tell you, he screamed the whole way down trying to beat the kid and the tallest kid in the red in the back. And he was so fast. Just a little bit about these orphan boys. A lot of them range from, I want to say, 8 years to 17, 18 years old. Most of them have either one parent or no parent, but the one parent, if they have it, has pretty much completely disowned them because they are not allowed to take care of them. They come every single day from 3 to 4 o'clock, or no, 4 to 5 o'clock, and sometimes after, to play soccer on the soccer field that is there. The only rule is if they want to play soccer, they have to take slashers and slash their own field in order to play. So for about 10 to 15 minutes, they get to work, they get something to do, and then they get a reward after. They're actually slashing the grass to put in place their very own soccer field, which they will soon hopefully be getting started as they're almost done slashing it away. Right after Billy and Mary left, this was probably one of the most emotional parts of my trip in Uganda. The boys are getting their very first soccer jerseys. They had never had a soccer jersey in their life. They had never felt like actual soccer players, they said, until this very day. They were surrounded. They were just coming in from all over the place just to get a soccer jersey. They also got cleats and shin guards as well. This was all donated by a church. I don't remember where though. As you can tell, the girls wanted to have a jersey as well, but they only had enough for the boys, so they're wanting to get volleyball jerseys and teach the girls volleyball for all of the orphan girls. Here's them all together. With their soccer jerseys. They were on 2 different teams so that they could play each other. They had a huge soccer game, and we actually, they're looking for sponsors to get soccer balls, so that is, I mean, I thought they had enough, but they're like, no, we need more, we have to practice all the time. And I was like, okay. In the back, there is the man in the blue, the red, and the yellow. The man in the blue came from a major city in Uganda to come and teach these boys some stuff about soccer. The man in the red sweatshirt jacket, he came from way north, almost Sudan area, to teach them about soccer. And then the man in the yellow actually came from Thailand. He played on a professional soccer team to come and teach these orphan boys how to play soccer. And they actually plan on making a national team out of all of these boys. After that, they actually held a humongous soccer tournament in the Luero village. They had a team come from Kampala, which is the capital city. They brought a team, which is in the green, to play against the boys, the orphan boys who are in the red. In the yellow shorts and the red shirt, that's Tucker giving a little spiel about Jesus and why he's come, and that he didn't want to force Jesus on people. He didn't want them to think that this was something that, if you don't believe in Jesus or if you don't have Jesus in your heart, this is the only day to do it. He just said, we want to bring people together, show them what community is and what loving on the kids looks like. The man actually in the white shirt